Hello from Lake Lure, North Carolina, nestled in the Hickory Nut Gorge along the Blue Ridge foothills between Charlotte and Asheville. This instructional video will help prospective boaters safely operate their watercraft on the waters of our scenic lake surrounded by the majestic Blue Ridge Mountains. Boating activity has significantly increased in recent years due to residential development and a substantial rise in tourism, and many boat operators are unfamiliar with Lake Lure. This video serves to get all boaters on the same page to enhance your overall boating experience. We welcome visitors to enjoy our recreational lake, and we ask that you take the time to understand our compulsory lake use regulations. Rules that are essential to ensure safe boating on our small 734-acre lake. Lake users must comply with North Carolina Fish and Wildlife regulations and Lake Lure use regulations, two sets of regulations that work together to provide a safe boating environment specific to the unique features of the lake. Lake Lure is owned by the citizens of Lake Lure and supervised by the Lake Lure Marine Commission, an elected body that is chartered by the North Carolina General Assembly. A citizen board called the Lake Advisory Board, or LAB, researches all matters of lake operations to protect citizens, property, and the environment, and makes recommendations directly to the Commission. You can help keep our lake safe and enjoyable by exercising your personal responsibility to adhere to the safety principles crafted by the Lake Advisory Board and authorized by the Commission. To ensure that all motorized boat operators understand the regulations, every boat operator, including visitors and residents alike, no matter how experienced, must complete a Lake Lure-specific boater licensing course before operating any motorized boat on the lake. This license is specific to Lake Lure, and additional North Carolina state boat safety training requirements may apply. An online course with licensing process instructions is available at townoflakelure.com, and this video covers many of the key safety principles. All boats operated on Lake Lure waters must also be permitted by the town of Lake Lure. This requirement is designed to ensure that only boats of appropriate size, weight, and power are operated on our constrained waters. Oversized and overpowered boats have been reported to cause hazardous and damaging wakes that are intensified within our narrow channels. Boat restrictions will be strictly enforced, and all boat owners must provide manufacturer-provided specifications prior to permitting. The popularity of Lake Lure is on the rise. The Lake Advisory Board monitors the boater pressure on the lake, and there has been a significant increase in boating activity due to property development and tourism. Boating activity is particularly elevated during weekends in the peak season, extending well past the recommendations of our governing safety study. To continue access and encourage weekday rather than weekend activity for our visitors, the Marine Commission implemented a non-resident day pass permitting framework that accommodates unrestricted access for any weekday in the year and on weekends during the off-season before Memorial Day and after Labor Day. Non-residents who berth their boats in a town or other commercial pier continue to be eligible for an annual permit that allows for unrestricted weekend access. Boat permits and boater licenses may be obtained downtown at the Washburn Marina, at the Cabana in Rumbling Bald, or at the Town Parks and Recreation Office at the Green Space. Boater licenses only may also be obtained by our lake livery rental businesses. Please keep in mind that failure to comply with these regulations may result in fines or forfeiture of your boating license. Boating regulations have been developed over a number of years based on citizen and police reports of dangerous situations and backed by extensive research by water safety experts. The lake regulations are based upon a Lake Lure comprehensive boater safety study that applied national boating safety norms to our lake. I will lead you through a summary of these rules. As a responsible boater, it is your responsibility to ensure your boat is equipped with U.S. Coast Guard approved safety equipment, including a fire extinguisher, horn or whistle signal device, throw cushion, operational navigation lights, and personal flotation devices, or PFDs, for each person. Children under 13 years old and all participants in towed water sports, no matter what age, must wear a personal flotation device. As with any moving vehicle, never operate a boat on the waters of Lake Lure while under the influence of an impairing substance, including a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or more. It is unlawful to operate a boat in a reckless or negligent manner so as to endanger life, limb, or property. As you enjoy snacks or a meal on the lake, please do not feed the wildlife. Wild animals have specialized diets and they can become malnourished or die if fed the wrong foods. Also, do not place, throw, deposit, or discharge any litter, raw sewage, bottles, cans, papers, or other liquid or solid materials in Lake Lure. If you see debris in the water, you are encouraged to remove that debris if possible. If you encounter large storm debris, please report the condition to the Parks and Recreation Department as soon as practicable. Excessive speed is the leading cause of boating accidents. Never operate a boat at a speed greater than is reasonable and prudent under the existing conditions. High speed can be dangerous because excessive speed reduces reaction time to an emerging perilous situation. High speed can cause extensive property damage, and high-performance boats at high throttle can be extremely noisy. The max speed limit on Lake Lure is 45 miles per hour for any condition or situation. Pontoons or deck boats with a single 300 horsepower outboard are generally limited to a max hull speed of about 48 miles per hour, so externally driven watercraft will be limited to a 300 horsepower rating. Internal or inboard propulsion vessels, mostly used for water sports, are difficult to regulate and will rely on the 45 miles per hour speed limit. We encourage you to check your boat indications, tachometer of speed indicators, with a GPS device such as a smartphone to know your boat's unique speed characteristics. We ask that you pay special attention to the wake your boat generates. Please observe no wake zones, defined by boat operation at 1,000 RPM or less, and no white water emanating from the bow. No wake zones have been established within 75 feet from shore around the perimeter of the entire lake and at the entrance to all coves, within 75 feet of another operating vessel, or 100 feet from an emergency vessel displaying lights. Also, no wake restrictions are extended to the entire lake during darkness. These designated areas are typically marked by buoys. These zones provide a sanctuary for swimmers and non-motorized watercraft, and provide a protection buffer for lake structures. Stay well clear of the dam, especially the power plant intake penstock and floodgates. Lake Lure is a great place for families to enjoy water sports, but please be mindful of the dangers that water sports can pose. Experience, training, and due diligence are all important aspects of safe water sports. Given the constrained waters of Lake Lure, no personalized motorized watercraft of any kind are allowed on the lake. Jet skis and motorized boards, for example, can be difficult to see and avoid in our very narrow channels. And our typical summer congestion does not meet the space operating standards for individual water sports. In addition, no towed water sports are allowed in any cove or no wake zone. Professional training is recommended before engaging in water sports. Many visitors do not have such training, so no towed water sports are allowed from rented vessels, including vacation rental and livery watercraft. Boat drivers engaged in water sports must focus their attention forward at all times to prevent dangerous boating situations. In accordance with state law, boats must have a dedicated spotter or rear-view mirror to maintain a forward focus. There is a maximum of 2 towed riders at a time to promote stability and prevent a dangerous broad dispersal of several dislodged swimmers in the narrow Lake Lure channels. All towed water sport participants must wear a U.S. Coast Guard approved personal flotation device. Wake surfing is becoming increasingly popular. Surfing behind heavily ballasted wake boats requires special consideration. Wake surfers on Lake Lure must adhere to North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission guidelines. Stay at least 150 feet away from other boats, the shoreline, docks, or other structures. Minimize repetitive passes causing excessive wakes, and provide surfers a wide berth. Boaters should suspend activity if unable to maintain the required safe separation. To prevent the introduction of invasive species from wake boat ballast tanks from other regions, these boats shall be limited to property owners in Lake Lure. Ballast boats owned by non-residents are not permit eligible. It is incumbent upon the motorboat operator to stay clear of swimmers, floaters, and non-motorized watercraft. Swimmers must swim, dive, swing from a rope, float with a buoyancy device or water slide into waters no further than 50 feet from the shoreline of Lake Lure. Also, stay clear of floating swim platforms. These platforms must be tethered less than 30 feet from shore. So, motorized operation within 50 feet of shore is allowed, but should be conducted with extreme caution. Swimming or floating from a boat offshore is fun, but protects your swimmers. This activity is permissible if accompanied by an observer located inside the boat. All waterborne activities must remain within 25 feet of the boat and avoid boat swim operations in heavy boat traffic areas and navigation channels. Kayaking, canoeing, and paddleboarding continue to be popular pastimes. All non-motorized boaters, except sailboats and rowing sculls, must stay within the 75-foot no-wake buffer zone except when crossing a channel at a 90-degree angle to access the opposite shoreline. Canoes, kayaks, paddleboards, and other similar vessels may be difficult to see and are prone to capsize from wakes. Stay well clear of these types of watercraft. Motorized watercraft must also yield to sailboats in accordance with inland rules of the road. Sailboats have the right-of-way as the stand-on vessel when meeting a motorized watercraft. There is no replacement for mariner prudence and common sense. Head ashore during severe weather or lightning. Always be respectful of your neighbors and fellow boaters. Boathouses, docks, and swim platforms are private property. Please be considerate when approaching or fishing near lake structures, and boarding to private structures without permission is prohibited. Sound is amplified and travels far across the lake, so please keep music to a reasonable level. Docking lights can blind an oncoming vessel at night, so they must only be used for docking. Please do not tether to any marked buoy, manhole, or other utility infrastructure on the lake or shoreline, and mooring at any town-owned day slip is limited to 2.5 hours. You may see a variety of commercial vessels operating on the lake. All boats that generate revenue for profit or non-profit entities require a commercial license. These include tour boats, vacation rentals, and livery boats, service boats, including fishing guides and towed water sports activity boats. Commercial boats may be restricted in their ability to maneuver, especially when conducting service operations. Dredging operations, for instance, are frequent around the town marina inlet. Give these boats and dredges as wide a berth as possible. Finally, help is available if your boat becomes disabled or you are in distress. For any emergency situation on the lake, dial 911. Signal nearby boats for assistance if out of 911 communications range. Fellow boaters should assist boats in need if you see or hear a distress signal. Police boats regularly conduct lake patrols, especially during peak usage times, or officers may be dispatched to a boat from shore as necessary. Lake Lure Fire and Rescue maintains a fireboat and other craft to respond to fires and conduct search and rescue with emergency medical services and diver-certified personnel. In addition, North Carolina Fish and Wildlife conducts occasional patrols and will investigate boating incidents and accidents. Remember that the regulations presented in this video are implemented to keep you, your friends, and families safe while enjoying our beautiful lake. Our lake use regulations are designed to put safety first. As always, your support and cooperation are appreciated as we continue to work together to improve Lake Lure for future generations. Your personal responsibility is the first line of defense for safe boat operations, and we ask that you adhere to these guidelines to the best of your ability. Enjoy the beauty and serenity of Lake Lure, and we welcome you to join us on the water. Thank you for watching this video and visiting the town of Lake Lure, North Carolina. Please visit townoflakelure.com for additional information and resources.